Welcome back to MCOC. Al Bundy Rules. Got another tutorial for you, Sentinel one. Older Champer's been out for a bit, but I've noticed I never really see a whole lot of stuff on him, so I figured I've been having fun with him. So I figured I'd do a little video to kind of bring back a little bit on Older Champ, as well as kind of show how to use him, as I haven't seen a whole lot on that. So something you get, seen a little bit on what he can do, saw some nice DOT damage if you build up, saw some good regeneration, 7,100 on that, can get up to actually 10,000 at a time, and you can lock down some tricky regeneration fights. So here I'm going to show some larger clips within the video on how to do, but you can completely lock down some of the trickier regen fights, such as that Wolverine ROL, which is infamous for that. And let's get into starting with target analysis. So when the defender does the same action twice in a row, you can get 4 analysis charges, which is kind of hard to always make him do. You get double all the analysis charges in all the ways I talked about on mutants. You want to build them up because you get higher attack rating and you use less. They cost less. The special attacks cost less for the more analysis charges. So signature ability gives 20 charges when defender repeats the same special. So a good way to do it is usually on most champs, S1 is just keep beating out that S1. You get 20 per each if they are awoke is away. Another easy way to do it if your Sentinel is not awoke, is you just keep hitting into the block. So you do the block, then repeated hits into the block will give 4 each. Against mutants, give 8 each. If you get that mutant to bait out the same special 2 times, you get 40. So mutants, you really get it going. Analysis complete. So once you get the 100 charges, special 1 and 2 special effects such as Incinerator Heal Block will still trigger even on the block. You get Unstoppable for almost a second when you charge a heavy, are some of the things you get. You also get twice as much time on your shock, heal block, incinerate, those debuffs. So the debuffs will last twice as long. So that's key to getting the most out of them. Heavy attack. So we see you get the energy damage over 3 seconds. If you do it with 100 charges, it's going to be 6 seconds. So that is a big difference. It really adds up. Twice as long. And so that's going to be a key. I'm going to get into more about how to really use Sentinel good later in the video. First, we'll show everything we can do, then get into tips, but that is a big tip that we'll be talking about. He is poison and bleed immune, which automatically I like him because I run suicides most frequently on the mastery, so the poison and bleed immunity is very, very nice, especially for those of you like myself who run suicides, or we see on this Sentinel like Biohazard, makes it really get all those immunities there. Special 1, initial hit gets heal block 6 seconds. Again, if you got the 100 analysis, it's going to be 12 seconds. Successful hits at 50% chance to armor breaks. You can get those armor break going on, which reduces that as well. Again, remember, those debuffs will double with those charges, so that is going to be kind of timing things as far as I don't want to say Sentinel has a huge rotation, but the big thing you want to do first is get those 100 up. Spamming S1 is going to shut down the toughest, so Wolverine is not a whole lot of counters for him, although the amount of counters do grow over time. Back in the days, there was only a few counters for this fight. Now there's a lot. But if you just keep spamming that S1, you see that Wolverine goes down, any high regeneration. Special 2 is going to be the big damage one. You get the Incinerate with the energy damage over 3 seconds, 6 seconds at 100. And the block proficiency and perfect block reduced to. Incinerate time, as we've seen, is taking a lot longer there when we have those up, and we'll see some good damage. You see how the DOT, look at all those red just going in when you really build that up right there. If you're doing the shocks and the incinerates, it really, really gets going. So in Special 3, you get the permanent armor up passive. Gives you 1,400. If you do back-to-back S3, so you do an S3, you get that permanent passive, big thing, passive armor up there, you get that. Then if you do another S3, you're going to get up to over 10,000 regeneration on there based on how much you've lost. So in this particular case, I'm at about 40% health. I got that passive armor up. I do another S3. So at 40% health, let's see what kind of regeneration we get after this. So you have to have the passive from the first S3 in order to get the regeneration over 7,100. So it went up from 44% to 63%, went up about 19%, and could go higher if it had lower health. So it could be very sustainable there. Signature ability ability, as I mentioned previously, the main part of this is getting that defender to use the same special. So usually S1s over and over will get you up quick. That's the easiest to bait out and control most of the time, because if you're trying to do S2, you don't know for sure if you're going to get them up to the S2 or not. So you see how you get them up very quickly and easily there, as I'm hitting into the block and as I'm baiting out those S1s. So really within a small amount of time right there, by baiting those S1s, maybe what was it, 20-30 seconds, I was able to get 60 charges just from that. This doubles against mutants, alright? So in addition to getting all those ones from the blocks, I get 40 from baiting back-to-back specials. Synergies, we see nothing too fancy. We'll see on the mutant one, reduce the target attacks by a special 25% when facing a mutant class. Skill, increase critical resistance by 25% when facing a target of the skill class. On the science, reduce the duration of target's debuffs effects by 50% when facing a science class. On Mystics, reduce duration of target's power lock by 50% and generate 50% power each time power lock expires when facing Mystic. And then Tech. So we see the trend. Tech-specific items, abilities that cause Sentinel to lose power 30% less effective against Tech targets. So nothing that he's critical dependent on, but something that can be helpful based on the fight he can bring in. So tip number one for using him, repeatedly hit into the block. So you want to keep hitting into the block. Even on Biohazard, where poison, he's poison immune. So you want to keep hitting the block and beat the same special over and over to build up those analysis charges. You want to do this at the beginning of the fight. For people who always talk about rotations, consider this as rotation right here. Keep hitting into block, keep beating out special ones, get him up to 100 at the beginning of the fight. Get him up to 100 analysis charges, the earlier the better, is really critical into maximizing what he does. Again, at a minimum, he doubles all the duration of all of his debuffs, which is huge. That's just the minimum. So double the damage, you could say. More attack power too. Focus on S1 on tough regeneration fights. People talk about different regeneration counters. People overlook Sentinel all the time. Some people think his heal block isn't very long. That's because they're doing it without getting him up to 100 analysis charges first. It's more than enough, as we will see here on this Wolverine fight, which Sentinel's easily able to solo this infamously tough regeneration fight was doing spamming S1s after the 100 analysis charges are up. So using that correctly is going to be imperative right there, and we will see that ROL Wolverine goes down, nice and simple. Tip 3, after getting to the 100 analysis charges, which you do at the beginning of the fight, focus on heavies and S2. Again, his attack goes up with the amount of analysis he has, but also after 100, he again doubles the debuff durations. That includes the damage over time as far as how much time they're active for. So for those incinerates, look at all that red going in there. That red is just flying. And then you see those heavies right there, shock. Look at that. So you can just keep going by focusing on kind of combining as you can between heavies and S2s. At the 100, you will just smelt that opponent there with all that DOT going on right there. So I kind of rotate in there, building up my power, launching the S2s, and building up the heavies for that shock. And you see 1,000 per tick on the shock there for 6 seconds. That's very good damage overall, with some decent damage in itself. So it works very good right here. Rotate on through this. So that's what I would consider the rotation. Build up the 100 charges and just keep doing those S2s and heavies. If you're worried about recoil, don't. You can just build up to a couple back-to-back S3s once you start getting lower health, and that will give you some pretty good regeneration, more than help out take care of some of that recoil. Don't forget to like and share this video. If this helped you enjoy this, share it. Check out my other tutorials. I have over 45 tutorials on that can help you, all kinds of good stuff in walkthroughs. Don't forget, if you haven't already, click that subscribe button, help support. If you enjoy this, if you find this stuff helpful, click that little link there to subscribe. And thank you so much for watching MCOC Al Bundy Rules.